What's up, nerds? Welcome to NGR Radio B-Sides. I'm Corey, and joining me as always, Matt and Moose, and special guest, Kenny. We are going to throw it to Moose so he can tell us what the B-side topic is. I was not paying attention when we were discussing it beforehand. Moose, what is today's B-side topic?
What is your favorite game that did the best job of making the hours disappear and you enjoyed it the most?
There it is, the topic. I'll start because I'm already talking.
Okay.
God, you're biting more than just my PSN list, dude. You're biting my style.
I know, right? All I need is some vinyl behind me, and I don't know. I don't even know.
Aren't those figurines made out of vinyl?
At least you have the ability to grow facial hair.
That's true. But look, okay, this is not anywhere close to what Moose and Kenny are sporting. This is like a month of not like shaving or buzzing.
We call this a Unix beard in the development community. You know, it's also known as a neck beard.
Yes. Yeah, those are. Yeah.
Well, I've heard
they're popular. They're very popular.
I've heard from females that neckbeards are bad.
No, that's incorrect. That
okay, all right.
You know, as a man who is a nerd and married, you know, my wife's okay with it.
I think she just deals.
Yeah, probably. Doesn't matter. I don't ask her opinion much. Please don't watch this, honey.
I think she'd have an opinion for you.
I'm gonna make sure I tag her in the video when we go to media. Oh man, the game I've wasted the most time in. That's hard because I usually don't replay games a lot, but there was a time, and I know you guys are gonna make fun of me as soon as I say this, but you're gonna have to go for this ride with me for a little bit. Okay, so Twilight Princess, when it came out, I played the crap out of that game because, like, when I got my Wii, you know, it was obviously the Zelda game to play at the time, and then I ended up getting it for GameCube also. But Twilight Princess was a game that not only like I enjoyed playing, but it was. There's always a point in your life where you find comfort in gaming when something in your life isn't exactly going the way you want it to go. Twilight Princess was always the game I turned to kind of, it's like the comfort food game. I know a lot of people say like Skyrim is their comfort game. You know, sometimes GTA or Call of Duty, but Twilight Princess was a game that was around and I had a lot of comfort in while I was playing it, you know, and you know, there are some points in my life where, you know, I'm sure if you go back to previous episodes, I explain it more on NGR Radio, especially in fireside chats. But, you know, where life wasn't exactly going the greatest, and I needed that positive kind of escape. In Twilight Princess, I've beaten Twilight Princess 7 times and 100%ed it 5 times across, you know, all 3 platforms it's been released on now. So
wow, that's dedication.
That's pretty impressive.
That's more dedication than I have for Bloodborne.
Yeah, I know
we all know my addiction to Bloodborne.
I love Twilight Princess, and like even when I replayed on the Wii U and realized like, oh, maybe this isn't like the best Zelda game like I claimed for all those years, you know, before Breath of the Wild came out. I'm just gonna throw it out there.
Right.
Currently think Breath of the Wild is the best 3D Zelda game, as I'm sure a lot of people do.
Yes,
but you know, it was just always the game that I went to, and you know, I probably spent 400, 500 hours in that world. And you know, Destiny 1 was another game that I spent a ton of time into, and in that world, just kind of like, even though the gameplay loop wasn't perfect, or like, you know, it wasn't like, I don't know, wasn't the game everybody really needed it to be or wanted it to be. It was kind of like, okay, I'll jump into this because I know what I'm doing, and getting lost and skipping other games, which was, you know, probably a bad decision on my part too. But yeah, Twilight Princess is always the one that's at the top of my list for that kind of thing. So
Okay.
yeah.
Kenny,
Yeah.
how about you, man?
So this is kind of a tough question for me because there's kind of two games that are fighting for my my time here, but I think I'm going to go with Stardew Valley.
Okay.
I probably put, I don't know, 80 hours into Stardew Valley on the PC and probably another 80 hours on the Switch. So Stardew Valley came out kind of like what Corey was talking about. Stardew Valley came out right when my grandfather passed away. And I kind of needed that something to kind of latch onto. And Stardew Valley was there, and it was so serene and, just kind of gave me that escape that I needed to kind of get through that tough time. And, every time I play that game, still I get like goosebumps and chills thinking about, the time that I was going through and all that. And it's just a really powerful game to me.
Yeah, Stardew. I downloaded for Switch, and I'm waiting for a time where there's no good Switch games coming that I can finally dive into Stardew Valley, because I feel like that's a game that I'm going to really lose a lot of time into, just because it has that loop and that kind of gameplay to it. And I'm waiting. I'm so caught up in Super Meat Boy and Celeste and going back to Mario Kart recently and Mario plus Rabbids, and I'm like, and now we got Bayonetta and all these other great games on the horizon. I'm like, stop. I want to try Stardew Valley and actually put time into it without having to worry about all these other Switch games.
Yeah. And that's one thing that I will say about Stardew Valley is it's one of those games that you really need to take your time with. Like, if you try to rush it, it's just not going to be a good experience. It does take up a lot of your time.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you, Moose? Bloodborne.
Skyrim.
Wow.
Skyrim. So it seems to be tragedy is what. So I was going through a divorce at the time, and a buddy of mine tried to get me into Skyrim, and I bought it and was trying it and just couldn't, just was like, whatever. So then when my ex-wife moved out, he moved in because he was going to go to school in North Carolina and whatnot. And also I needed a roommate. So it worked out in both our favors. And so he just sat there on the couch next to me, and we were like playing. He's like, just play it. And he's like, and I'll give you some tips. So we started working through it. And he was like, okay, so when you go into a dungeon, do this. He's like, go as far as you can. And then when you can't carry anything more, find something to put an item in, walk everything back, just getting as much as you can out of the dungeon. And then when you finish the dungeon, taking it back and selling it to try and make as much money as you can, and then getting a horse. And it snowballed after that. So, I played Skyrim for hours a day. I'd go to work, finish work, I'd come home and I'd play. And then on the weekends, it was 8 to 10 hours each day. And then when I couldn't sleep, I'd be up at 3:00 in the morning playing Skyrim. So Skyrim was a great time waster. And I think right now, currently, Zelda is gonna either give Skyrim a run for its money or eclipse it, because I'm 60 hours into Zelda and I only have 2 of the divine beasts conquered. I just conquered one, the water one, the elephant. I just did the elephant today, and that's as far as I am in the game as far as the main story goes. I have a lot of shrines. I have, I've done, yesterday, so my wife had a biking accident this weekend when we were in Atlanta, and so she was sitting in the living room with me, and we were watching Friends. So I was just sitting there doing the bowling thing at Pondo's Lodge. I was just sitting there, just bowling, just having fun, getting rupees. Cause now I'm like, oh, it's 500 rupees for bomb, for 30 bombs. Bomb arrows. I don't give a crap. I'm gonna buy them. I don't care, So yeah. So it's just fun. Even that's fun, because sometimes you even think you're gonna nail the strike, and sometimes you don't. It just depends on how the pins fall. But I'm having a fun time. And also today, I think I have one area left where I haven't found the tower for the area to show the area on the map. So I was working on doing that. I got the 2 areas in the upper right corner Those were the last two that I got recently. And then I'm trying to find the fairies, trying to find all the fairies. And so for one of them, I think I need like heat resistant gear. So I got to find that. I have some food I can make. I just haven't made it yet. But like I said, it's just like you have like all these things. It's kind of like Skyrim. It's like, okay, I'm going to make this set of armor. I want to work to make this set of armor after that. And you know what I mean? And like, how am I going to plan that? And, and just move things along slowly. And so it's just like, I'm sure when I get maybe 20, 30 more hours in, I'll be like, all right, it's finally time to start beating this. Like I still have to go get the Hyrule shield. I have the Master Sword. I just got that last week sometime. And so now I'm going to try and go for the shield. But I wanted to get some more ancient arrows before I try and go do that, just in case I need them. But yes, I think Skyrim, I might. So like, I mean, Zelda might surpass Skyrim, but like Skyrim, I had more playthroughs back to back. I think Zelda, I'm going to take a break in between and then come back to it. Like maybe play it again later in the year. You know what I mean? Like, because Corey, you've been playing it since it came out.
Yeah, I've been playing it since day one.
Yeah, you have an insane amount of hours into it, and you were even thinking of doing a second playthrough.
Yeah.
Like starting over again. And I might even do the same thing because it's always funny, like how the game changes when you hindsight's 2020, when you know more about it. Like Bloodborne. When I play Bloodborne, if I start a new character, it's completely different than the first time ever was. And it's a little less stressful. So I feel like my second playthrough will be less stressful when I play it, and I can have a little more fun with it because I'll really understand the game mechanics of how everything works inside the game.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I really need to play more Zelda. I picked it up and then Persona 5 came out and I just started playing that and could not, or maybe Persona 5 came out before it and then I was just in the middle of that playthrough and never really got into Zelda. So, but I need to get back
the other way around. I think Persona 5 came out in April.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
Zelda was out in March. Yeah. So.
Yeah. I think I got my Switch around a few weeks after launch and then Persona 5 came out and then I just started playing Persona 5 and yeah, that was a great game, but
yeah, I mean, I right now I have probably like 240 hours into Zelda and like
Jesus.
I haven't there's so much more I could do even though I've done every shrine, I've found every Korok seed, I've done all the divine beasts, I've beaten the DLC, I've done the master trials, but like I could go monster hunting and upgrading my gear. I could go upgrade all the outfits that I want. I could go chase down shooting stars and farming. Like I could just totally go farm stuff and yeah, I don't know, man. I could do so much more and I'm like, even though I've been playing for 240 hours and I haven't played it in probably 2 weeks maybe.
Yeah.
I'm already getting the itch. I'm literally already getting the itch to go back, and it's like, man, I want to try a master mode run. Like I'm thinking about doing a master mode run at some point.
Is that like extra hardcore? Like, what is the difference?
Oh,
I'm not up on that.
It's just hard mode basically.
Okay.
And as soon as you come out of the
DLC, right?
Yeah, it's included in the DLC. And as soon as you come out of the cave, there's a Lionel at the bottom of the hill where the old man is. So,
oh wow.
So yeah.
Oh damn.
that sounds pretty brutal.
Yeah.
Oh no.
You have to like lead the Lionel away from the old man to like get to the old man. And while you're doing that, like there are literally bokoblins floating on balloon platforms above you, shooting at you. And this is like the opening part of the game. I'm like, man, I don't even know if I want to try this right now.
Yeah.
See, yeah,
that sounds
that's
awful.
I feel like that's not proper hard mode.
Like, no, that's just being difficult to be a bitch. That's not like
that's Nintendo trying to shove a murder cock up your ass.
Right. I mean, there's a difference between being harder by saying, okay, let's add a couple harder bosses here or there, or mini bosses, or even, hey, let's take the health from like here to like here. You know what I mean? And like kick it in to high gear. Like give them give them maybe 2,000-3,000 more points of health, which would be understandable. But like that's just being a fucking dick.
Yeah. Honestly surprising coming from Nintendo because like Nintendo's usually really good about design. Like that's something like you look at any of their games and that's something that they take very, very deeply. Like they try their best to design their games in such a way to where the player feels rewarded without things being too difficult. And that just feels like that's not fair to the player.
Like, based on, I mean, even look at Breath of the Wild, like with the design of the Guardians, you don't have to be super high level to take them on. You can use anything and parry a laser and kill them in one shot.
Yeah.
I feel like putting a Guardian there is probably makes more sense, but I don't think in terms of like world design it does. And I don't think a Lionel's the answer because as to my knowledge, there's no real one-shot answer for a Lionel. Like those are a battle. Like like each of those is a mini boss, and I feel like you get it. Even talking about Breath of the Wild, like we hate when a game makes itself harder by just giving the enemies more life. Or making sure they hit like super hard and you still hit the same.
There could be a balance.
Like I think maybe like if you make the early game enemies, a certain amount of HP, so maybe they take more hits. Like make Bokoblins a bit stronger. They hit harder, they take more. I think that's a fair thing. But then once you get to a certain point where you are, adept. And I feel like that's probably the variable that Nintendo can't really measure.
Yeah.
That's when you start saying, okay, we're going to put more Lionels in these areas and everything will be the same because it'll be enough to really keep a player gated.
Yeah.
And make them think it's difficult.
Yeah. One thing that's impressed me is I've been playing Final Fantasy 14 again, the MMO.
Which is amazing.
And yeah, it's fantastic. One of the things that I've been very, very impressed with is their difficulty ramp. So when you start off, let's say you go into a raid, you'll do the raid normal mode. Okay, so that's normal. That's the boss has a couple mechanics that you need to know, and it's usually not an easy fight. It can be tough. Then you go to extreme, which is harder. The boss has a couple different mechanics. And then you go to Savage mode, which then the boss has like a bunch of mechanics. The levels are falling apart around you, so you've got to be careful like where your positionals are and all that stuff. And they just do a really good job of slowly ramping you up to that, so that you're not ever like just being, killed instantly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Because I feel like making Zelda harder it's not the same kind of problem as doing a level 1 run in like Dark Souls. Because that's just like someone who's looking for a tougher challenge rather than someone who is a straight up masochist.
Yeah.
And I think that's a difficult balance to strike. And it's weird that I think the only Souls game to strike that balance since Dark Souls has been Dark Souls 3. Like I think in Dark Souls 2 I don't think you could do a level 1 run. I think you had to, like if you were doing a level 1 run, like you could only take beginner gear. Like you couldn't, like rings didn't help you and things like that. Whereas in the original Dark Souls, like level 1, you could game it a little bit because you could get to the point where you had like a ring of favor or protection or like Havel's ring where you could carry more. And I feel like that just takes like a knowledge base rather than just makes it stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Matt, what is your favorite game?
The game that
of wasting of burning the hours away for you.
Well, I'm gonna put it as a tie between Diablo and Diablo 2 on PC back when they were originally released. when I played Diablo 1, like I didn't know what it was. I didn't understand like why people had liked it, but someone said I was working at Best Buy at the time, and someone said, if you like video games and you have a computer that can play video games, you should play Diablo. I'm like, why? And they're like, cause it's good. And I'm like, I don't know what that means. But 15, 16-year-old me with a job took that as like, oh, well, he says it's good. He clearly knows what he's talking about. So I'm just going to buy it.
Right.
Then I don't remember if they had an expansion for the original Diablo, but I know they had a strategy guide that was like this big. And the only reason I got that strategy guide is because I wanted to find every single special enemy in it and fight it and kill it. And and because I, grew up in a household where you tried to take care of your stuff, I actually had to transcribe the list in the book to her and check all that off. So it wasted, I think Diablo 2 or Diablo 1 and Diablo 2 share sort of the top spot in most hours played, because I think I played Diablo 1 probably 1.5 times as much as Corey played Destiny.
Okay.
And I think I played Diablo 2 about the same as well. Maybe more. It's just been long enough that I don't remember. But those definitely, it was just one of those things that like I found something to do that I'm like, you know what? I've beaten this game multiple times. I've beaten it on every difficulty. So I'm going to try and find the way to find everything that I've not seen.
Cool.
And other games have done that too. Like I played Demon Souls like to New Game Plus 5. I have 10 characters in Bloodborne that I've beaten the game with. Ahmed and I did Soul Level 1, original Dark Souls through New Game Plus. And yeah, like there are those games that you just keep playing. And I did this while still, balancing playing other games. Like oddly enough, recently, like Neo's been taking a ton of time. I feel like I've been taking that game a lot slower than I usually do. Mainly because I like that combat. That combat is so cool.
It's a good game. I highly recommend it.
And then, I'm not going to talk about how many times I've bought and played and beat Super Meat Boy. Just finished it on Switch. So, I have a disease.
We
And
both
there's
have
no cure. Yeah.
No.
But yeah, no, I love games that will keep me coming back.
Yeah.
And because I had to step away for a moment, what were your guys, just so I know for my own?
Oh, mine.
Can you go first? Oh, okay. Sorry, Corey.
No, Stardew Valley was mine.
Oh, nice! I haven't played that yet, and I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, I want to play it so bad.
So good.
I know you're a Giant Bomb fan as well. So, like, was it Dan that sold you on it?
No, actually, I discovered it through Steam Curators or whatever the fuck it was called back in the day. I got on board with it pretty early on whenever it got released because, like, I had for some reason on Twitter followed the developer. I think I was just like following developers at that time, and like he talked about releasing it, and I looked it up on Steam, and I was like, "Oh, that looks cool as hell!" So I picked it up and started playing it there. So yeah,
cool,
nice.
All right, Corey, Moose, either one of you?
Mine was Twilight Princess.
Okay, no Destiny. I'm shocked.
I mentioned Destiny, but
okay. Regretfully, I hope.
Mine was Skyrim, but Breath of the Wild might be giving it a run for its money.
Oh, it will. It will.
Anyways, I'm expecting that I'm going to talk about when we do our what are you playing now? But anyways.
I'm expecting that game to take me a very long time to do on Switch. Okay, so cool. This has been B-Sides. This has been B-Sides. Corey, tell us when it releases.
All right, so this has been NGR B-Sides. You can find it on Thursday at noon on NGR Radio's YouTube page. That's youtube.com/NGR Radio and on NGRradio.com/Nerdsound Road.
Word.
The podcast page. So like, subscribe, and share. Our next goal is that 500 sub mark. So yeah, all that stuff. For
Get us
Matt,
there.
Booth, and Kenny, I'm Corey. Thanks for watching B-Sides. See you next week.
Yeah.